Hello, and thank you for joining me on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. My guest today is none other than Miss Sharon Baker. Welcome to the show, Sharon. Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I was waiting to get you on the show because one of our we have a mutual friend,
yes,
and she's been telling me about you and your organization for quite a while. And I think even her granddaughters are actually involved in the organization. So oftentimes when I speak to her, she's telling me, oh, the girls did this, they did that, they're at Sharon's, they're cooking, whatever it is. She's letting me know about it. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a good organization. Now, the name of the organization is Prettiest Pearls.
Prettiest Pearls.
Now, give me what the acronym, because I know it's pearls, and that means something. Tell me what that means.
Well, most of our girls, we do everything we can to get the girls' self-esteem up. So we have all kinds of things that we do with them to let them know that they're self-esteem, that they're valuable, that we love them, and no matter what they do, we are going to do everything we can to build them up, because there's a queen inside. Okay. And we need to make sure that that queen is acted out. And and I tell them all the time, if you act like a queen, you get treated like a queen. If you act like something else,
right, you might.
So we work on their self-esteem every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we do all we can to take each girl. Each girl is such an individual, and we know that the pearls, it had to go out of a lot of things to get to be a pearl.
Right.
You know, so when we take them and we breed their behavior to be what we would like for them to grow up to be, to know the right direction to go,
mm-hmm.
then they gravitate to that. If you touch them and give them love, then they can't help but have self-esteem and hold their head up and act accordingly.
Right. And you know what, Sharon, I think that's so important, especially with today's youth, because out there, especially with young girls, we are seeing so many things happening with them, and we're seeing them being carried, they carry themselves in such I don't want to say a horrible way, but a way that would draw a certain type of person to them that would probably be more in a negative light.
Right.
And based on what you're telling me, it's all about showing the queen within so that they could draw the king.
Right.
Right. And oftentimes we get what we give.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And how you represent yourself is how other people will approach you, or how they will respect you and or disrespect you.
Yes.
And when I see these young girls today, and I know you've seen it yourself, they walk around with the little, I think they call it booty shorts or something.
Yes.
Things like that, and showing just their whole body. You know, it's like they don't have that type of pride in themselves, but what you're teaching them is how to be a lady, is what it says.
Right, and some of it is not their fault because that's all they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And if they've been breeding another kind of behavior, so they act in that manner, and they're really just acting out for attention. So if you treat them like they're the queen and the queen that's inside of them, and love them and tell them how valuable they are to God first, then they'll know how valuable they are to each other, because I tell them they're worth it. Every penny I spend on them, everything we do for them is because they're worth it. There's a queen inside of each one of them, and if we give them all the love we can and nurture them to be what they would have to be, then they'll rise to the occasion. I've learned early in life, even with my boys, that if you teach them, set the standards high, they'll keep coming up to the standard. But if you just leave it low, they're just going to stay just right where everybody's going to do that.
Right.
But as long as you raise the bar and keep raising it, they'll keep coming up to be whatever you call them to be.
Right. You got to give them something to thrive for.
Right.
And to strive for. And I think that's so important with parenting, that you give your children something to thrive for and a higher goal to reach, because that can help them actually reach their full potential.
Right. They need to reach their full potential in everything they do, not just in school. Because some girls are just very, very smart, but after school they're a whole other person. So they need to be a well-rounded person. So that's why I work with them. Everyone is different, like a pearl. Every pearl comes out different.
Right.
So just because you're this does not mean you're better than this. Every pearl is beautiful from within. So you have to understand that this girl may not look exactly like you. However, the value in her is still. Even if you take $100 bill and you crumple it up, it's still $100 bill.
Now see, she just stole my example. She just stole my example, because time she said that, I was about to say, it's just like I swear to God, God is my witness, it's just like $100 bill. You take it, and I always say you could take one from the mint.
Right.
A nice, fresh, crisp $100 bill. That's there. Take another one, ball it up, crumble it up, wash it in the washing machine, take it out. It looks a mess, but guess what? When you go to the store to spend it, the value of that $100 bill is still the same. Quit stealing my words. That was what I wanted to say.
Great minds think alike.
Great, there it is. Great minds think alike. You know, and speaking of minds, what was it that inspired you to actually create this organization?
Well, actually, I worked in Young Ladies for Christ at the St. Stephen's Baptist Church for years as a facilitator for the girls. I've worked with the girls so long, and the way I started out working with the girls was because my husband was a deacon, and when we came to church, and I became a deaconess. So I was like, I don't want to work with my mother-in-law was in one mission, my friend was in another mission. I didn't want to be in a mission. I just wanted to do something to help people. I even asked, could I be in brotherhood? And the pastor said, oh no, I cannot be in brotherhood. So I said, this lady, she stood up, she said, well, if we're going to have a mission, we need someone to work with our children. She was an attorney, and she said, I'll be willing to work with the children and the girls, and we'll bring them every week. So she came, and she said, Sister Baker, you want to work with me to work with the kids? I came back there, worked with the kids. 1 week, the next week, she never came back. And I had to learn how to deal with, because I didn't know anything about this. So, but when you have kids that's reading the Bible and they ask you hard questions, you better be reading the Bible too, so you can give them the answer.
There you go.
So I had to learn with them to learn how to answer their hard questions. And then the more I worked with Young Ladies for Christ at the St. Stephen's Baptist Church, the more I saw that they needed to do more than just at church things. They needed to do well-rounded things. I needed to be participating in their school activities or going with them to learn how to act in different public places like dinner parties, and how to entertain, how to network, how to do different things in real life instead of just at church. Because when you're at church, you mostly are on your best behavior, but what are you going to do after church? So I had to get that inner girl to bring out all that love in them so that they can know how to act at church, at school, at home, or wherever they were in any setting, and then use a practical application for every example.
Yeah. We need more people like you. We need more people that are out there doing this type of work, that are setting the example and setting the standard for what the young girls should be and what they should appear like. And I noticed one thing about you. Every time that I've seen you, you represent yourself very well. I've never seen you not just fit to the T. And I've always noticed that you wear the pearls. And I'm assuming that's because of the organization.
Right, and I want every girl to know every pearl is different. And you can be a pearl from inside. You need to know that just because you're not a size 2 does not mean that you are not a prettiest pearl. A prettiest pearl is their heart is big, and the endurance of they have potential. They do everything they can to be better and strive because their self-worth is very valuable. And also I need to bring up that I have a wonderful team. I don't just do this by myself. I have a team that supports me, and they back me up. They know that I get discouraged, and I'm just like, okay, I want this and this and this. It seems like I want more for them than they want for themselves. My team says, okay, you've already done all you can do. Stand back and let them miss your presence. But I kept saying, no, let's get them to do this, this, and this. And so we have so many girls that do so many different things and so very talented. I even had one girl that was this girl right here. Actually, she is Betsy. In the movie Betsy, her name is Cameron. She was in the movie Betsy, and she is Queen Latifah as a little girl.
Oh wow! Isn't that awesome?
And this is my president of the little girls. Her name is Sanaya Scott.
I think it's wonderful that you've given them actual roles too, so that they can live those roles out to, and that helps them to see their potential in the future.
Yes,
absolutely. I oftentimes say that teamwork makes the dream work. You mentioned your team, and we have a great team right here with the Ferrell Phelps Show too. And my team is telling me to wrap this up. It's that time. We're going to be back in just a moment. You guys stick around.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues.
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is none other than Sharon Baker.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, Sharon, we were having great dialogue about young girls in your organization, Prettiest Pearls. Now, I know that each one of the alphabets that actually spell pearls actually means something. So I want to start asking you those questions, okay?
Okay.
Now, of course, the first alphabet is P, and it stands for potential.
Right. The girls have great potential. Each girl has so much potential inside of them. I want to make sure that they're working at their full potential in every aspect of their life, not just in school, because some people make like straight A's and then they're sad inside because they have no friends. They have no social skills, so they can't learn how to interact with other girls their age.
Okay.
So we have to network and teach them their full potential.
Right. And you know, potential is so important, and it's important for parents and adults to actually see potential and see the potential in the children, because a lot of times children can identify that for themselves. So when you have a parent or an adult that can actually see a little bit deeper into that kid than what they see on the surface, it can help that kid get to where they need to be in life. It makes a huge difference when we're able to see the potential that kids possess. So I can't tell you how excited I am about what you're doing, number one.
Thank you.
And the passion that you have for it. Now the next alphabet is E, that stands for endurance. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you know, each girl has a home life, so they go through a lot of different things. Even with their weight, you know how girls are. They go, their hair is not perfect, or someone's always prettier than them in their minds.
Right.
But they have to endure whatever and know that their potential will bring out the best in them. And so you're not, just because you're not like her, does not mean that you're not beautiful, because you're beautiful inside, and every person is made different, and God has done that for a reason, specific reason. If He loves you that much, He knows that you're going to go through some stuff, so you have to have endurance to go through it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of times when you're dealing with endurance, it's just a test of how strong you really are and how bad you really want something, you know. And oftentimes when we really want something, we just have to endure through the hard times, endure through the challenges,
And
and
we're here
continue
to
to
encourage
fight.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
Our whole team is an encouraging team.
Right. Again, the teamwork makes the dream work.
work.
Now, A is the next alphabet in the word pearls. That stands for availability.
Yes, you have to make yourself available for everything to work. If you're too busy for everything that we have to go to do, then if you're too busy to go to the nursing home with us and put on a talent show, then you're too busy. You have to make yourself available to help someone else. If you're not available to help someone else, then you can't reach your full potential. You need to do everything you can to make yourself available, and then you prioritize your schedule, because proper planning prevents poor performance. You need to do what it is necessary to get to that availability level.
Yeah, you know, when you said that, it reminded me of a friend of mine. She says that all the time. In fact, I think I just heard that from her this past weekend. And I always tell myself I'm going to remember that so that I can say it to somebody else as well. But she says it all the time. Now, the next alphabet is R for reliability.
Yes, your word is your bond.
Your word is your bond.
You have to be reliable. I have to know that what you say you're going to do, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
If you commit, I expect.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that I learned from my grandmother is the importance of reliability and being a man of your word. If you say something, say what you mean and mean what you say. And oftentimes she would say to me, your word is your bond.
Right. That's all I got is your word.
There you go. There you go. And there's more value in your word sometimes than your money.
Right.
And I think it's important that we realize that and realize the power of the tongue.
Right.
Because what comes out of our mouth, you know what I mean? So I think that's very important. We need to be men of our word and women of our words, because guess what? We're making an example for those that are watching you. And just like yourself with the girls watching you, I'm sure once you make a commitment to them, you make sure that you follow your commitment.
Right, because I cannot lead them if I don't set a good example for them. So I've set myself aside. It's things I would like to do, but I have to set myself aside to do things that will make them proud of me, because I'm expecting them to make me proud of them.
Right.
So I do everything I can to give them that incentive to be reliable, to do what you need to do, work to your full potential, and endure some things that may happen in your life. So it's just a test. It's only a test.
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of endurance, I'm sure there's times that you get girls that might tell you certain stories that just make your heart go out to them. How do you deal with stories like that? Because I know they exist.
Well, girls tell me a lot of stuff. You know, they tell me stuff that they don't really tell their mothers, and I have to be able to hold that stuff inside and to pray for them and to help them get to the next level and to let them know that I am their friend. Now, if it's something that's endangering them, then I'm going to have to tell. But but there's something that they just want to talk about. We oftentimes set up like a little phone chat. We used to do that, and where you don't have to. You just say ring, ring, ring. I put the girls in a circle. I turn my back, and whoever wants to ask a question, they don't have to look at me. They just say what they want to say, and I answer their question, and I direct them to what it says in the Word. First of all, so this is what God says about it, and this is how we're going to deal with it. And don't be too afraid to talk about whatever is going on in your life, because we want to help you. And even the girls in the back can chime in, and they help each other. So I just kind of facilitate it, and they feed off each other with answers, so they'll be more comfortable that this is not just happening just to me. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
we have a lot to do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do. My team is awesome. They do everything they can to make this an easier task than it has been. I mean, at first I started out with just me, and then 2 other ladies. It was Frida and another lady called Chandra, and we just did everything we could. We had a group of girls. We had like 30 or 40 girls, but now at the conference in March we have 260 girls.
Wow.
And that's been consistent.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And that is certainly a sign of growth.
Yes.
You know, and as we know, things that don't grow tend to die. But I think it's great that that's growing for you. Now, the next alphabet is love. I know love is very important.
You have to love. You have to love the person inside of them first. If you don't love them, then you're going to find fault in every little thing they do. But when you love somebody, you don't see none of that stuff. You're just like, okay, I'm working on this project, and this is what we're going to do to fix it.
Yeah.
You work out a reason to try to be the example and try to make it happen instead of being the excuse.
Okay.
You got to love them through some of the stuff. Sometimes the girls don't do everything. Don't think this is a perfect world by no means. Girls are still girls as teenagers, and they still have their little moody ways, and they do what they do. But you have to love them through it, because if you don't love them through it, you'll be forever disgruntled yourself and be upset that it didn't go the way you planned it to go. Well, everything's not going to go the way you planned it to go. Even as a mother, my children are my children. I love them to death, but I'm sure I didn't say every answer they wanted me to say for them, the things they wanted to do. So when you love somebody hard enough, you can love them through it. Even if we have disagreements, we have committed to agree to disagree. Sometimes they're not going to like everything I tell them because they want to do what they want to do. As an example, booty shorts. That's not acceptable.
Right. No booty shorts in the house.
Right.
Yeah, and you know that's important. It goes back to the way they carry themselves.
Right.
You know, and
the queen has to look like
the queen has to look like the queen. The queen has to look like the queen. And I think it's great that you're teaching those young ladies to look like queens. Again, I say you draw what you are.
Yes.
And by you teaching them that, you know, and it's interesting because I would love to see a follow-up like 10 years from now of those same young ladies and to see how this has impacted their lives. We're going to talk about that and a little bit more when we return with the Ferrell Phelps Show and my wonderful guest, Sharon Baker. All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show with my guest today, Sharon Baker. We are having great dialogue. We're talking about young ladies. We're talking about their potential. We're talking about love, endurance, what they can achieve, being available. Now, we left off on love, and then the next thing was self-worth, and that's the S in Pearls. Tell me a little bit about what that means to the girls.
Well, most girls, kind of prissy girls, they know who they are. But girls that are not as prissy and have not been nurtured with a lot of love, they don't have a lot of self-worth. So we emphasize on your self-worth to tell you how valuable you are to God first.
Okay.
And once you know how valuable you are, then you'll take yourself in that direction. You won't be doing things that'll embarrass you later, and being on videos that are in this media kind of world now. The stuff that will follow you when you get ready to go get a job, and they see something on Facebook that is not good for your interview. Per se, and we want them to know that their self-worth and that how valuable they are to God, and you won't do those kind of things. And once you love God and you love yourself, then you'll know that I'm too good to do that kind of stuff. I won't be getting caught in those situations anymore, and I won't be setting myself in a position where I'm set up to be a failure. I set myself up goals so that I'll have enough self-worth to know that I can achieve those goals, and I can do everything I need to do with God. And I need to practice on being valuable to myself, because we had a sleepover, and when we had the sleepover, one of our crafts was I bought some little heart-shaped mirrors, and I had them put some ribbon on the back of it, and each girl had to actually write in the mirror with some fingernail polish, red polish, that said, "I love you." That means every day they have to hang that mirror up by where they brush their teeth and look in that mirror and tell themselves those words that's in that mirror. "I love you."
Wow.
That way they know that they connected with each other and with God that day. And the reason why I did it with red polish instead of pink was I want them to know the blood of Jesus loves them more than they could ever love themselves.
All right. That's the backstory. That's the backstory. Wow. Wow. And you know what's so important about self-worth? Because the fact of the matter is, when you have self-worth, there are certain things that you won't allow.
Right.
And that could be the way other people treat you.
Right.
How you even treat yourself. Right. And the things that you allow into your life when you have self-worth. And I think what happens when we see a lot of young girls that don't possess self-worth, they live their lives out in ways that endangers them. That makes them look bad in public, and other things. Now, you know, I noticed the foundation of a lot of things that you're saying right now. You say God.
Yes.
So I guess it's safe to assume that God is the center of your organization.
Yes, it is. It's a Christian-based organization.
It's a Christian-based organization. Now, you've been doing this for 18 years, but in 2010, you actually became a 501c3.
Yes, I did.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is correct.
Before that, we were with a Young Ladies for Christ facilitator, and we even have girls now that used to be in Young Ladies for Christ, and now their daughters are Prettiest Pearls.
So another generation.
Another generation.
Yeah.
And we're working hard with those girls.
That is so awesome. You know what I always say? I always say each one reach one. Yes. You know, if each person could reach another person,
right,
then they can help that person to show what their potential actually is. It's important that we help each other. It's kind of like you've heard the term, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
Oftentimes that same thing is applicable in organizations like the one that you actually have. I want to ask you, how do you think social media has affected young girls in their self-worth?
Well, a lot of times girls put stuff on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all that stuff that they don't think about it when they do it. They just do it. And when you do that, it's a lifelong legacy. It's going to follow you. So you need to make sure that's something you want to follow you. Don't put something on there that you don't want to see you. Because people change all the time. And just because you put one thing on there and you acting out and you with your boo and you think this is something cute and it's not, and your mother finds out and then she bans you for the rest of the summer,
right,
then you have to make sure that whatever you're putting out there, that's what you want the positive to be put out there. You want it to be known that you are a Christian, or you want it to be known that you are a Prettiest Pearl, that you want it to be known that you're a queen. All those kind of things are positive images that you want to portray when you're putting stuff on social media. So we talk about that actually in our Prettiest Pearls Girls Conference we have in March. The classes so first of all, at the Prettiest Pearls Conference on Friday, they come on Friday night and they have a sit-down luncheon in the ballroom so that they can learn how to interact in a social setting with the ballroom attire. And then after that, we go up and change into our leisure wear, and we go to Prettiest Pearl Idol, Prettiest Pearls Top Model, Prettiest Pearls Glam Squad, It's like a big party that Friday night. So then the next morning they get up and they have breakfast, and it's at the Hyatt. And once they have breakfast, they leave breakfast and they go to classes. The classes are self-esteem, attitude, my body, prayer, salvation, character, and relationships. They go to those classes, and they have an instructor that teaches them the classes. Then they leave the class, and they go to lunch. And
Okay.
once they have lunch back in the ballroom, they have a general speaker that sums up everything that
Okay.
they did in the class. So they get to interact with girls from all over the city. I mean, Mississippi, some came from Dallas, Beaumont, even some came from Baltimore that came to the conference, and they come and network with the girls and learn how to meet new people and new girls and exchange phone numbers, get pen pals, and so
Oh, wow,
we do
that's
a lot
awesome.
of different things at the conference so that they can learn. Actually, in the part about my body,
Mhm.
I know this is kind of like off the camera, but in the one that's my body, that
Yeah.
class is for 5 to 8-year-old, but the 5 to 8-year-old girls are tailored to just a big old drawing of the body, and then they put the parts on it, right?
Okay.
But when we get to the age of 13,
Okay.
we have actually a gynecologist,
Okay.
Come.
Okay.
and we put them in the room with her, and they ask whatever they want to ask to the doctor,
Is that right?
and the doctor tells them all about their body and everything that's going on with their body. But you know, you have to be
Yeah.
13 to get to that class.
And that's so important because I think that's missing with a lot of girls.
Right, 'cause
And when they can get that type of education from a gynecologist that can actually give them these types of detailed information that will take them to the next step in their life, that's important. And a lot of times parents have difficulty having these types of conversations
That's
with
why
their
when
children.
we have the gynecologist in there, no other adult is in there.
Really?
That's you can
Them
ask
and the
what-
gynecologist.
that they can ask whatever they like. That way they don't have to be ashamed
Intimidated or, yeah.
or not worried about, because they're just with their peers. So everybody's 13 or 18 in there, and they can
Right.
ask something. And I even take questions from like a silent auction, questions they put in a little
Okay.
box, and the gynecologist just read the question, so no one will be offended that they asked that and say,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
did you ask that? You didn't know?
Right.
But no,
That's a great way to
they,
do it.
They learn, and it's to help them.
Yeah. Wow. You know, talking about gynecologists, talking about the female body and things of this nature, I want to ask you this question, kind of a tough question. If one of the girls come to you and say, Miss Baker, I've been molested, or this has happened to me, or that type of thing that's traumatic, how do you handle that? Or has that ever happened? with
Yes,
them?
it has happened.
Yeah, how do you handle something like
Well, actually, I had to tell. That was on one of our ring calls.
that? Okay.
This is one of and so the girls that were behind me helped answer her. You know, they talked about it,
Okay.
and they talked about how to handle it, but we did have to tell mommy.
Yeah.
And it happened to be mommy's boyfriend. So we had to handle it. And that's how you have to, I cannot not tell mommy that.
Yeah.
But I offered all kinds of options. Okay, we can do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
But this has to be addressed. So, of course, mommy, you know, and it got better because the girl came back and told me he's gone.
And you know, I
I mean,
have to applaud that. I have to applaud that because, and I'll tell you why.
It could have turned out differently.
It could have turned out much differently, and oftentimes, believe it or not, and I'm sure you guys have seen this and witnessed it for yourselves. When the young child comes to the parent and say, "This is happening to me," or "Stepdad touched me," or "Uncle Billy Bob," whatever, did this. A lot of times, the parents are in denial,
Right.
and they don't say anything about it or do anything about it. And this child continues to live with this molester around them, and this, you know, and this type of thing is happening to them. That you talk about self-worth.
Yeah.
And self-worth being affected.
But I'm thankful that God allowed me to be the person that they were able to tell.
That
Because they could
vehicle.
have told someone else and didn't even believe them.
Yeah.
And that would have made them feel worse. But because
Mhm.
they told me, and then we let the girls address it, and they told them how to handle it, you know, and okay, this is what you should do. And this, you know, it wasn't biblical, but, you know,
Right.
you can do this, this, and this. And so then I have to tell them how much God loves them, and He does not want them to live like that. But
Mhm.
we're going to have to talk to mommy. If you don't let me, and mommy doesn't respond, we're going to talk about something else.
Yeah, plan A, plan B.
And
Yeah.
we're going to get this taken care of because you don't have to live like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we even visit a girls' home. It's called Hold My Hands Girls Facility, and we do that. We actually adopted them, so we visit those girls. Our girls made some. We call them servant slippers, but they're little flip flops. And one of our girls will make one, and one of their girls make one, and we give them to them. But they just have dialogue with them and talk to them because I had to tell them that all of these girls are not in the girls' home because they've done something wrong
No.
or bad. Some of these girls are in girls' homes because mommy week could not take care of them, or just walked away, or somebody was doing this and that, so they had to be taken out of the home, and they're in this situation. Can you imagine if you were in that situation? So you need to be compassionate to that person.
Absolutely.
So we work with the girls' home, and actually one of the girls graduated. We just bought her first person that graduated from that girls' home, and we bought her a class ring. Prettiest Pearls.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
She went to the prom. She got dressed up and went to the prom. That was the first for Hold My Hands facility.
Yeah.
And it was very, Miss Alice Collins works with us on helping us facilitate that.
Wow. Well, you know what? It sounds like your organization is doing some amazing things and certainly impacting the lives of young girls. I certainly tip my hat to you and your organization and what you're doing. I want to wish you tons of success. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to interview you on today and talk about it, because I've heard so much about Sharon Baker. And today I actually get to interview none other than Sharon Baker. Now, for more information about your organization, how can the audience and those looking to find out?
prettiestpearls.com on the web, and we have we also didn't even talk about the book club, but that's another. We have a book club that is awesome. We have Miss Paula Dean. She is actually a dean at the Houston Community College.
Okay, and that's not Paula Dean the cook.
No, not Paula Dean. Her name is Paula Dean. She's the Prettiest Pearl, Paula Dean.
Oh, okay.
She works with our children. We didn't even get to talk about the college tour that's coming up this Sunday.
Yes, college tour coming up July the 19th.
July 19th.
Actually.
We're going from Houston to Baton Rouge to Tuskegee to Atlanta to Daytona Beach, Florida, to Tallahassee, to Orlando, and they also get to spend a day and a half at Disney on this trip. And we have 50 kids going and 6 of us. Yeah, it's a blessing. We go every year. Last year we went all the way to Washington, and we went to, we were trying to get a visit in the White House. My son was trying to facilitate that, but we were too late to get in with our security.
Yeah, wow. Well, needless to say, you guys are doing big things.
We're busy.
Yeah.
We want to be busy. We want to reach and touch every girl, reach one, touch one, and get all of them to get where they need to be.
Absolutely. So if you guys have little girls out there that need to be impacted by an organization such as this, certainly reach out to her at the information that she gave. And in fact, go ahead and get that information one more time.
It's prettiestpearls.com, and you can email me, and my email address is on it. It's gracertc at yahoo.com also, if you need to reach me. And the fee to be a member is a $30 fee. That's $30 a year, and you get invited to all of these different activities, and it includes your Prettiest Pearls shirt, keep calm, I am a Prettiest Pearl, your bag, your overnight tote bag, and your certificate, and also your little ID card of Prettiest Pearls.
Wow, so you get a lot for $30.
Right.
Wow. That is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share with you.
And you know what? I'm going to ask you to come back again.
Okay.
Because there's so much more that we can talk about. Now, for more opportunity, more blue. Well, you know what? I'm messing up today, y'all. So let me get this right. For more opportunity, for more information on this show today, you can certainly reach me at Let's Talk About It 12tv@gmail.com. That's Let's Talk About It 12tv@gmail.com. You can also go to my YouTube channel. Simply go to YouTube, type in the name Ferrell Phelps. All of my shows will pop up right there for your viewing pleasure. Until next time, folks, we'll see you then.